Welcome back to the Black and Gold Network. It's a new year, and we're back with women's basketball with assistant coach Jess Wilhite. Jess, welcome. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
So today we figured we'd, now that the non-conference portion of the schedule is over, we would kind of discuss that as the Panthers prepare for Horizon League play this weekend. So, Coach, 4-9 record in the 13 games, but when you look at the strength of schedule, you guys played an Indiana team that is now 14-0, ranked 22nd in the country.
Mm-hmm.
You guys played a Bowling Green team that's now 11-2. You guys played a Marquette team that's now 11-3. You guys took on the Badgers in the season opener. Just talk a little bit about the strength of the schedule and then what those type of games do for you guys both when you're playing them and down the road.
Yeah, I think with any non-conference schedule, you really want to play those good teams and expose the weaknesses and the things that we need to work on. And we did just that. I think, this year we've really trying to hone in on the defensive end of things, and as of late been able to hold a few teams to, under that 55 mark, which is what we're aiming for. But yeah, I think, as you said, just with Indiana now ranked 22nd in the nation, just good teams. And the great part about that is going into conference is, we always say it's kind of that fresh start going into conference, and these are the games that, you get a new season.
So obviously injuries are part of the situation. You guys had a pretty key one when you lost Emily DeCora for the first quite a bit of time at the start of the season. Obviously you have to kind of expect injuries to happen, but how are you guys able to deal with that this year?
Yeah, as you said, I mean you have to expect them, but they always come at kind of just those inopportune times. And really, we brought Emily back, and we wanted her to be right where she was when she left and got injured, but in all honesty, it's probably taken her a little bit of time to get reacquainted with the team and the court and just her conditioning level and her shot to fall again. So I think now she's really starting to hit that rise, and we're happy with what we're seeing with her on the floor again.
Well, sophomore that wasn't a starter last year has kind of stepped into that starting role. Aviana Young last year averaged less than 5 points, less than 5 rebounds a game. This year averaging close to 13 and 10, almost a double-double a night. Talk about her progression.
Yeah, Avi's just a great kid, and she works hard, every single day. I don't think, there's times where we'll get on her, and it's those moments where you can just tell she's completely exhausted because she's going as hard as she possibly can, and so just kudos to her just for the effort she's put in and the hard work she's put in, and really stepping up for us as a sophomore this year.
Offensively, you guys are still that quality 3-point shooting team, 10 or more threes in 6 of the games. Talk a little bit about how you feel the offense is kind of gelling so far this season.
Yeah, as we said, just a huge part of that 3-point percentage comes from obviously Emily DeCora and really getting her back in the mix of the offense. But we do want to look a little bit more to our inside game. I think we have talked a little bit about just relying a little too much on the three and really trying to find that balance with our inside game, outside game.
Defensively, obviously, we wanted to work on defense this year quite a bit, but 2 wins in our last 3 games, allowed only 58 points against Illinois State, and now 48 points against Omaha. What's been the difference?
I think things are just finally starting to click. As you said, just with the non-conference, we want those teams to expose what we need to work on, and finally, just after the work and the weeks, now months of really focusing on that in our practices and watching the film. Kids are really great about coming in and watching film and grasping the defensive concepts. I think that's just the time and having the ability to now gel together.
Horizon League play starts this week. A couple of teams have already started league play. But you look around at the other teams. What has been the surprise for you? Wright State's 13-4. UIC's 11-3. Green Bay's 8-5, but they're Green Bay.
Right. Yeah, I think like you said, typical Green Bay team. Very balanced scoring attack from their team again, even with some new faces. So they can't necessarily say they've been a surprise, but sure, yeah, UIC I would say has probably been one of the biggest surprises. They've got obviously a couple of good kids returning for them with Rachel Story and Hanneman, but then they've got also a transfer now that has started to play for them this year that's really stepped up, and I think they've put together a great team, and they won against Green Bay last night, so we got to watch a little bit of that, and that's just a good matchup. But we're happy to see more and more teams kind of rising to that level of where Green Bay is at, and being able to compete with them.
Well, as you said, Horizon League play starting. We're 0-0, so it's a fresh start, heading to Green Bay on Saturday. Just a final question then. How intimidating is that Crest Center? They don't lose there very often.
No, they don't. And I think we were just saying, the last time they lost has maybe been a couple years at the Crest Center. But hopefully, I don't think it's intimidating. Really, it still just goes back to, you know, remembering those great rivalries and just think of it as just fun. You know, just that intensity, the adrenaline's going. You got a good crowd. You know, especially when you go in there as the underdog, it's a lot of fun. So hopefully our players can see it that way too.
Well, having won 2 of 3, I'm sure they're certainly full of confidence. Thanks for your time and good luck as league play starts.
Thanks, Chris.